Okay, same thing as usual, candidates. I will give you 2 minutes, and I will call time after those 2 minutes and give you a warning at 15 seconds prior to the end. Nafisa, you may start. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Nafisa Ratcha and I'm standing for Education Officer. The reason that I'm standing is because I will give it 100% to this role. I have experience. I have been in course rep for my course, and so I know the issues and I know the way to tackle them. If elected, some of the things that I would like to look at is feedback, because been talking to the students, it's something that they're very passionate about and they want to look at the way, reevaluate the way that it is given. I also want to build on the communication between the education officer and course reps and SLOs and make sure that whoever becomes education officer has the ability to communicate with them to make sure that the issues that you have as students are taken seriously. And I also want to work on make sure that every student is treated equally, from whether you're a first year to a postgrad or a mature student. Even though you might have different issues, doesn't mean one's greater than the other. They're all same issues and they all should be tackled. And if elected, I will be an education officer for you students and do the best I can to make sure that your issues are getting listened to.
Okay. Thank you, Nafisa. Kaylee, again, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Kaylee and I'm campaigning to be your education officer. As a leader, I think I'd be very passionate. I'm very goal driven. I think I'm a natural leader. I'm very focused. And my influence is I'm determined, I'm dedicated, and I'm driven. I have 6 main policies, but to begin with, I'd like to commend last year's education officer, Becca, for the feedback that she did. And it's something that I'd like to carry on for the next year. So much work's gone into it, and I think it's important to make sure that it's something that's expanded on. As well as this, I think an open door policy for all students is something that's very key, whether it's postgrad, mature students, part-time. It has to be something where everyone's welcome to come through the door. Something that's also very important is communication, whether it's communicating between students and making them available to all sources. So if they're not too sure where to go when they've got a problem, it needs to be clear. I think it's also good to make students aware of opportunities within the systems, and an example of that is this year I've been a course rep, and it's a position that's made me very aware of what students want and what students need from their university life. It's also good to keep a clear bond with the university and the other student union areas, such as the Advice Centre, taking everything into account, what they're going through, and making everything very clear for students to understand. Also, university quality reassurance statistics need to be made a lot clearer. We're asked to take part in these surveys every year, but everyone I've spoken to is not aware of what the actual outcome of these surveys. Over the past year, I've gained such a bond with students and staff, speaking to everyone, learning everyone's different situations and takes on the education. I think it's important to make the most of that. So if you want to be a part of your education, I think it's important to vote for me, Kaylee, for Education Officer.
Thank you, Kaylee. Next candidate, Joey, do you want to go next?
Thanks. If you've managed to stay awake this long, congratulations. But now is really the time to pay attention. You know, I've worked in the Advice Centre now for 2 years, and I'm constantly seeing the same problems come through the door, and quite frankly, I'm tired of it. For example, the current appeals procedure is completely stacked against you. The 7-day deadline means that if you get your results on a Friday, by Monday you'll only have 4 days in which you can appeal. This is wrong, and you deserve better. So I plan on raising this to 12 days. Similarly, when it comes to the complaints procedure, complaints go on for months because UCLan don't currently offer a deadline in which they'll say they'll deal with them. I want to make sure that UCLan give you a firm deadline. The course rep system at UCLan is great, it really is fantastic, but it's stuck within the university system. This means that the education officer doesn't always get to hear your issues, and your voice goes unheard. I want to move course reps under SU supervision, because that means I can keep an eye on what feedback's cropping up. Now that policy itself will be very important when it comes to the UCLan Advantage. The Advantage you may or may not have heard of a lot, but you should have, because it's going to be the biggest issue next year. Because those paying higher fees will be getting a lot more than you will, including guaranteed work placements. By having a fairer course rep system, I'll make sure that the advantage doesn't disadvantage you, because you deserve better. Money's an issue. Those paying higher fees will be facing higher debts. So when UCLan gives you library fees, and then they give you fines, they give you only so long to pay them back before they block you off the system. That's wrong. That means you can't use emails, you can't use eLearn, you can't use the resources available to you. So my fellow candidates here are going to offer you cupcakes and glossy flyers. But the truth is, I'm the only one here that's going to offer any real policies. So vote Joey Guide number 1 for Education Officer.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joey. Miriam, next.
Hi everyone, my name is Miriam Parker. I'm a third year studying business and sustainable business, and I'm running for Education Officer because I have a passion for education and for students to achieve the best they can whilst they're at university. So I really believe that UCLan is a great place to study and that continual improvement is a key way for it to stay that way. So after listening to students, I found that there's 3 areas that I would be keen to work on if I got into office. So the first would be equality. So I'm sure all of you are aware of the change in fees for students hoping to start university in the coming year. So if I was to be elected, I would be keen to listen carefully to second and third year students to make sure the course quality is just as good as first years. I will monitor this throughout the year. This would mean meeting with groups of second and third years and course representatives regularly to get feedback on where they think improvement is needed. So the second area is employability. So when talking to students, it is clear that this is one of the most important areas to them, and so will be a high priority for me when I get into office. So we already have some great facilities here at UCLan to help students improve their employability skills, like Futures and the Placements Unit, and it would be great to see those being used to their full potential. So I will be suggesting that Futures start a mobile information stand, making their services more visible and accessible to students. The final area that students have talked to me about is e-learning. So I'll be keen to lobby the university to improve the range of online resources for courses with a limited choice available. I want to see students at UCLan get the very best out of their degree, and improving available resources would be one of my top priorities. So those are the 3 main areas, but of course this union is about what you want to change, so I'm sure there are other areas that people would like to see improved. I want to represent and listen to you. Your views are what matters, so get voting. Miriam Parker, number 1 for education.
Thank you, Miriam. Next, Wade.
Hi, I'm Wade Clifton. I'm currently a third year law student, obviously here at UCLan. Next year, a lot will change for both the staff and students. As your education officer, I will work to ensure the entire year to ensure that everyone feels comfortable with that change and to make sure that no student feels they are not being heard. I will be conducting a review on feedback while working very closely with the Learning Development Unit to have a feedback system perfected and ready for the September starters, so everyone has a fair chance at receiving some feedback instead of, when it comes to a 15-day limit for feedback, becoming annoyed and agitated that tutors have not received any word from them. I will also be looking at whether or not the 15-day turnaround actually works. This is to ensure that when a student hands in a piece of work, they feel they'll be able to receive some feedback before their next piece of work is due in, and currently this is not the case and this is not acceptable. In the review, I will also be looking at the quality of feedback, since I have, whilst been talking to some students, received concerns that feedback is either unhelpful, it's too short, or it doesn't even help them improve for the next piece of assignment. This is unacceptable, and I will pledge that this will change. I will also be continuing the work of the current education officer has to improve the quality of the course reps and the school reps, and to make sure they are utilised to their full potential, since without them, the student's voice is not as loud and any concerns are not passed on. Again, this cannot happen next year, especially to the second and third years. Your voice is going to be as big as ever. The university's first priority always has been and always will be the students, and this includes their course satisfaction. At the end of every module, a module evaluation questionnaire is filled in, and as your education officer, I will be looking at the overall view of courses, and if there are any concerns about the course, I will personally address the problem and resolve the issue before students return to their studies come September. I want all the students here at UCLan to have the best 3 years possible, and this is only done if someone is willing to give you the best, but not only is willing, is determined to give you the best. I'm Wade Clifton. I pledge to you that I will give you the best, and vote for me as education officer.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Wade. And finally, Adele.
Hello, my name is Adele, and I'm a third year language and linguistics student running for education officer. I've been the course rep for the last 3 years. If elected, there are 4 key things that I aim to improve: course satisfaction, appeals and complaints, access to higher education, and involvement of everybody, in particular the deaf community at UCLan. Course satisfaction and academic support are important to your university experience. Last year, as the other candidates have mentioned, the NSS showed that feedback had a very high, a low percentage. Together, working with these 2 elements, they can be used to increase overall satisfaction. In addition, I aim to create a 5 to 7 day gap between deadlines. So, for example, if you had one deadline on a Monday, there wouldn't be another one until the following week to give you enough preparation time to complete that essay. And I also aim to prevent module cancellation, as this seems to be on the rise in most schools. Course dissatisfaction. This I will do by working with the current course reps and school reps and pass that on to the students. If these things are improved, we will have less complaints and appeals. If not, I will try to resolve any in a prompt and less stressful manner, as I have been through this in my own experience. I will work with several members of the Student Council on my policies, in particular the Disabilities Rep, aiming to include all policies to everyone, in particular, like I said before, the deaf community. This is something that's not quite involved in the union at the minute. They don't have as many facilities for educational issues. They have things like interpreters that aren't used as much as they should be. And finally, access to higher education, because employability starts at 16. Working with the campaigns officer next year, I hope to go into schools starting at age 14 and promote higher education. This is important because people need to know what decisions to make in future. So vote for me. I can't make you vote, but please at least listen to my policies. Thank you for listening. Oh God.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adele. Thank you for that. Okay, we have 2 questions submitted. I will then go to the floor for a third. The first question is, how will you ensure that all students are given the best opportunities and not just those paying the extra fees? Nafisa, if you want to begin, 30 seconds.
Yeah. I will keep in contact with all the course reps from all years, including 2nd and 3rd year, to ensure that they are satisfied with their course, to make sure that they have the same standard of learning that is given to the 1st years, and make sure that they are happy, and any issues that may come from that, I will tackle them as they come then.
I think that any opportunities available should be made very public within the university. It would serve all students well for them to be publicised very well, and I think it's a case of making it available to everyone as well.
I think if you're going to be paying higher fees, it's only fair that you get some bonuses. What my new course rep system does, it allows me to get any feedback when it comes to unfair things to do with your education. So by inserting myself completely into the course rep system, that means that I'll hear any of this that happens straight away. In terms of kind of extra benefits, this is going to happen with the Advantage. It's unfortunately too late to change that now.
So as you've heard, equality is one of my 3 E's, so it's something that I've given quite a lot of thought to. So as I said, I'd be listening carefully to 2nd and 3rd years to make sure that their level of learning wasn't any worse than the 1st years. And yeah, I'd be meeting with groups regularly just to discuss issues and to work out if there's any improvements needed. And also possibly look to set a benchmark for course quality, so we could compare that against the 1st years to make sure there was not too much difference.
Mine is pretty much the same as Nafisa's. What I'm planning on doing with the course rep and the school rep system is to bring all the meetings back into the union instead of into their own individual school buildings. That way I can personally oversee at least some of them, if not the majority of them, and as well as being involved in the meetings themselves, any issues that the 2nd and 3rd years or postgraduates do promote towards me, I can then personally have a look at and fix.
My tagline on my flyers is, "A vote for someone like you, a vote for everybody." This obviously shows that equality is important in my tag. Especially, like I said before, with the deaf community, what I would try to do next year is involve everybody in one. Something like trying to promote the Course Rep Academy onto just the students that maybe are in 2nd and 3rd years, and try and get that as something that's incorporated into everybody's choice, not just the course reps. And again, involving not just the people that are considered your everyday students, but the people that are disadvantaged as well.
Okay, thank you, candidates. The second question is, do you think less people will be encouraged to come to UCLan if they feel their fees are helping those who pay less?
I hope not. UCLan is a fantastic university and has a lot to offer, so hopefully that won't put people off coming and seeing the wonderful facilities and things that we have to offer.
I think that as long as opportunities are made very aware to everyone, because people aren't aware of a lot of the things that are going on with the university. And I think as long as standards are kept high and as well with the rising fees, it shouldn't be much of a problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, currently applications don't seem to be decreasing at all, so it hasn't had that much of an impact. But as already said, as long as the quality of the education you're getting still is as high as it currently is, then I don't see that being an issue.
Yeah, although people applying to universities might be decreasing, I think as a university here at UCLan, if we promote all the positive things, so like employability, what I was looking to do in terms of putting futures as a mobile resource, just telling students who are possibly coming to higher education what they can get out, then yeah, applications will stay high.
Personally, what I feel is needed to ensure that those application numbers don't drop is not just on the education side on it, but as the education officer, to work with the rest of the Student Affairs Committee to ensure that any possible issues that newcomers would have would be corrected instantaneously, and that any fears they would have for paying £9,000 will decrease over time.
As I said earlier, education and employability starts at 16. We need to get into the schools. We need to tell the students of pre-16 teens that they need to make the decisions soon. This is something that needs to be promoted throughout the university to the current students. They need to know what they're going to do when they leave, and UCLan will definitely not disadvantage anybody that is currently studying here in any way or shape or form.
Okay, thank you, candidates. If you want to give a round of applause for those answers. We will now take a third question for the floor. So can I ask for a third question from the floor? Yeah. Has anyone got the mic?
Hi there. I'd like to say I'm glad that you're all on board with the UCLan Advantage. The question I'd like to ask is what you're actually going to do about the £9,000 that students are going to be paying next year. It's all well and good saying that the Advantage does give, current students the Advantage does allow upcoming students to be given some of the facilities that, we currently have now, but for free. But what's rather confusing me is why the SAC what you're going to do is the SAC regarding paying £9,000. Not everyone wants free access to the gym forcefully. That's basically what the £9,000 are going to be doing. They're going to be enforcing these policies upon us. What are you going to be doing regarding the what I find quite humorous, the emphasis on getting all right. What are you going to do about £9,000 in the UCLan Advantage?
Okay, Nafisa, 30 seconds.
Yeah. I will see how it's working, and I will see what the issues arise once it takes place, and take it from there. Because there isn't much we can do until we know the effects of it, really.
Obviously, there's not a lot we can do about the £9,000 that they're now charging. However, I think what we can do is take on board students' opinions on how they think their education should be improved, or what facilities they'd like to have a part of, opposed to what they're being forced to take a part of.
Yeah, I mean, if you're paying the higher fees, there's nothing that says you have to use the certain facilities. Obviously, the fee rise has happened now. There's nothing we can do about it. The union put in a fantastic fight against it, but unfortunately, we lost. When it comes to the Advantage, obviously, we need to see how it works. These people they're paying more fees, they deserve some bonuses, so I think it would be unfair otherwise.
Yeah, I think what we'd need to do as a union was to promote all the advantages of coming to UCLan. So the great employability services, the great courses, and just listen to the students and listen to what they think needs improving in that sense.
It's all well and good saying, right, we can do a review on it when it's been sorted. Personally, I don't agree with that. The thing with the UCLan Advantage is it is starting in September, and if something does happen, students will want a choice of that. I would work closely with the people in charge of the UCLan Advantage to give the students a range of choices instead of this is what you're getting, this is what you're having, get used to it.
Obviously, there's nothing we can do about the £9,000 fees. As somebody else said before, it is a governmental issue. However, it's something that the education officer should work with the APO and obviously the campaigns officer to maybe come into an arrangement where they could probably increase the facilities or the advantages available for current students as well as the new students, because then that obviously creates the fair and equality throughout the university.
Okay, thank you, candidates. If I can ask for a round of applause from the floor.